Hey folks, what a view behind me. I'm at Black Bull Markets headquarters here in Auckland, New Zealand. Speaking of views, you can get TradingView paid plans for free at Black Bull Markets, saving you up to $600 a year. That's right, get either the Essential, Plus or Premium plans absolutely free, and all you need to do is trade from one lot a month at Black Bull Markets. And you can also get a 100% deposit bonus for your first deposit up to $1,000. All you need to do is click the Trading Nut link in the description below. You've probably heard me talking about trading with confidence, and honestly, it's a lot easier when you're not risking your own money. That's why I wanted to mention Blue Guardian. They offer instant funding or a challenge to get you started, and up to $400k in funding, weekly payouts and a 90% profit split, and they've already paid out over 15 million to traders around the world. Plus they're sponsoring Birmingham City FC and Chris Eubank Jr., so you know they're serious about backing performance. Check them out at blueguardian.com or check the link in the description.
What's going on, guys? This is Brinks Trades coming to you live with another week of breakdowns. Hope everybody's having a good trading week, and hope everybody had a good week overall. I had a decent trading week this week. I told everybody in my mentorship, if you're following me, and I guess first things first, if you're not familiar with me, again, hey, what's up, y'all? My name is Brinks Trades, and I'm a day trader. I've been a day trader for the last decade across a bunch of different markets. Started in the currency market back in 2015, 2014, and transitioned to futures in like 2022. But then, at this point, I'm really trading, both markets pretty frequently. And so I come on here every week, and as the resident indices analyst for the Trading Up podcast, and break down pretty much all the charts, across indices, and then obviously currency pairs as well too. And so really touching the big things that a lot of people are trading. So hopefully everybody is familiar. If you guys, if it's your first time watching, love to see where people are calling in from. So go ahead and drop where you're calling in from if it's your first time watching. Again, with this being a global podcast, shout out to Cam for having a platform where we can all kind of come together around the world and break things down. And so I'm going to take you guys through the indices. I'm taking you through the currency pairs. And I was actually just telling my audience, or my community, my mentorship group, and then both my other people in my Discord, that I'm in the process of really going back to the funded accounts. For the last year I had been trading, or not a year or so, but like the last 6 or 7 months I've been trading, actually pretty much about the last year, a lot of personal accounts, and flipping those and growing those. Flipping, I don't like the word flipping, but really showing people what you can do with like a $10,000 account, right, or a $20,000 account, and growing those. And so recently, though, with the announcement that FTMO's transitioned back to the US, I'm going back to trading, prop firms, but then also prop firms in the currency space again, into the CFD space again. So really excited about that. Just wanted to show you guys that. Wanted to show you all basically kind of the status updates on that, and then we'll go ahead and break into the charts. So every week I'm going to be, kind of breaking these down, and basically just kind of covering my progress as I go throughout these challenges, past and challenges. But right now I'm actively taking two challenges with FTMO. I'm going to share my screen over here so you guys can see this. So you guys should be able to see my tab. So basically I started these challenges maybe, a couple weeks ago. It's been about 2 weeks. First one is a long-term swing trade that we're talking about for FTMO, or on NZD. I'm basically going to swing trade my way through this one. So currently the account is like down $200, but I guess technically the account balance is down $200, but I'm currently up on my positions right now, and I'm looking to take a long-term swing trade on NZD. We'll talk about that when we break down the charts. The second one is the one that I'm actually most excited about right now, which is the one that I'm pretty much wrapping up right now. So I'm up about 8.5% on the second account, which actually was my first account initially. But you guys can see that, across all of the trades, I'm actually not shooting too well in terms of percentage wise. But, with my challenges, basically my strategy is to work, excessively, up front and put a lot of the effort in up front and really go big on trades again, because, more so because I can, and I told this to my student group a bunch of times, I can, manage risk when I get it effectively. So I'm up in the risk initially in the beginning half of the phases, which you guys can see led to, a drawdown that was about 4% on the account. But since then have, turned things around and, again, sitting up at about 8.5%. I need to get to 10 to pass that first phase. Again, this is not really an endorsement for FTMO, but the reason I'm rocking with them is just that they've been the longest prop firm in the US. And, for someone who wants to do more of the CFD space or swing trade. Obviously the futures prop firm space is not letting you do that. So there's some good firms out there, FTMO, Blue Guardian, etc. And I'm gonna be tackling them all throughout the next year. But FTMO obviously has been in the space the longest, and so they are the one that I'm rocking with first. So I was really excited when they came back to the US. Um, I won't open up my credentials there, but I'll keep you guys informed as I keep going through that challenge. But again, I think that if you're a trader, right, you should be open to showing, not only the charts, but your wins, your losses, right? And just showing how you progress as a trader. And how, and basically the ups and downs and transparency. I think a lot of people in this space are not transparent about their, just their trading journey in general. And they're using it to sell courses. They're using it to, for disingenuous reasons. And, one of the reasons that I do this call every week is basically because I want to show people that I can win consistently, and what I'm providing, in terms of strategy, in terms of mentorship and all those things, is real, right? And so that's why I have over 2 years of lives every Saturday that I come on here and basically call out the charts before the markets are even open, right? And so you guys can see that there's been a lot of accuracy here. I might pronounce your name wrong, but I think it's Nabosha. Just ask, do I have my own trading group? I do have my own trading group. And so it's called Talented 10th, right? And I'll drop a link right here and we'll talk about it after the call as well. But I do have a free Discord that I talk about, basically post updated analysis again, after these calls end, because if, you guys have been trading more than a month or two, you guys know that sometimes the markets can change, come Monday, right? And everything kind of predicates on how we open up on Mondays or Sunday nights if you're in the US. And so I have a Discord which really has two main sections: a free section where you can learn your own, you can follow along with what I'm doing and basically kind of keep track of what I'm doing as far as the updated analysis, but then also have a mentorship group where I actively teach and learn. And, that's really the group where there's a lot of value. And I would say, if you're interested in really learning my strategy, that I come out here and outline how I'm able to call the charts over and over and over again, based on, these principles that I teach, I would check out talented10thtrading.com, and join that mentorship group. But there's a link right there. I just dropped it in the chat. You should see it in a second if you haven't already. So let's go ahead and jump over to the charts, but I will keep you guys updated with these as I go through the phase ones, phase twos, and get funded. My goal is to be max allocated with FTMO. That's going to be my main goal that I'm going to be working on. And then I'm going to circle around back to all the other, CFD and prop firms. I do love the CFD space. This is where I first learned how to cut my teeth on the prop firms. At one time, I was funded over 800,000 in prop firms with CFDs alone. And then obviously when everything kind of went with the MetaTrader fiasco a couple of years ago, I had to switch over to futures, right? And so the space that I'm in right now, I like both. For me personally, the CFD space offers a little bit more, or the currency space prop firms offer a little bit more uh, just flexibility when it comes to how I want to trade. If I want to hold a trade overnight, if I want to swing trade, they are a little bit more expensive. I think to me, they're easier to pass over time. They're more flexible because they do have a lot larger limits. and drawdown limits and things as well. But obviously, you get what you pay for. So, that's it there. So let's go ahead and jump over the charts and we'll break stuff down. So first things first, you guys know me by now, and if you've been watching me for more than a week, you know that we always start with dollar index first, because if we understand where dollar's going, then we can get a firm understanding on, where the rest of the currencies are going. So I always start with dollar. I go there first. And so if you look at dollar, so let's get this pulled up right here. So as you can see, weekly time frame on dollar, we've been in a downtrend for the longest time, right? And so usually what happens in September is the market really starts to pick up. This September's actually been kind of decently slow. But one thing I do like here is there's a lot of wick action to the top side. I don't like that we're building up trend line liquidity, but I do like the fact that we are working the top side, really grabbing, buy side, and hopefully continuing, wanting to continue down. If I drop down to the daily time frame, you can see that, the market is starting to make lower lows. Last couple of days in the market, we ran up here and attacked the this level here and respected this overall fair value gap that we're sitting here. So ideally what I want to see is the market continue to go lower, and so yeah, ideally what I want to see is the market continue to go lower. And see the market continue to go lower. So ideally what I'm looking for here is sell side liquidities. These levels that have caught it over the past couple of weeks are still levels that are intact that I want to see the market continue to go lower. So 96.67 and then 95.90 are still levels of sell side that I want to see hit. I am kind of nervous that the market is kind of creating these lower highs that we could come up, run these, and then go back down, or reverse. So I will be watching these. Ideally, I want the market to stay under this fair value gap here at 97.5. So ideally, if we can still close below this high end at 97.68, that's going to be good. But what I would be looking for next week is maybe even potentially running back into this and then going lower. So ideally, that's what I want to see. I will be watching this there to see if we do want to run back up here, because this is some lower resistance liquidity right here. So I will be watching that, but ideally I want the market to keep going down and keep going lower. I think we are getting very, very strong rejections from this level here. So anytime you see wicks really work in a zone like that, it's picking up liquidity and it's really trying to show you that there's orders up here the market's trying to run to. So ideally that's what we're gonna potentially do next week. So for bearish on dollar, we're gonna be bullish on euros and other currencies. So let's take a look at euro. And so euro futures and euro USD are the two kind of charts that I look at when it comes to euro analysis. I'm looking at more euro USD right now because I'm obviously trading those prop firms. But I am noticing a couple things that I do like, and going into next week that I really like on both euro and a dollar. The first thing is, or euro and euro futures, I'm sorry. So the first thing is that we inverted this fair value gap. We were waiting on this for the longest time, right? And so I've been calling this out really since, last month or so, right? When the market really failed to reject this, this fair value gap, and we started inverting it, I really wanted to see the market come back down here and then trade higher. And that's exactly what we got over the past few weeks. And so I'm excited to see that this market is fully inverting this fair value gap, because this has been the longest pretty much month and a half that I've ever seen in a zone. So that'll be fully inverted disc. What do I want to see happen? Well, I'm bullish. I'm bullish as hell on euro. And so I want to see the market really come up and start attacking these levels here. So this buy side liquidity sitting up there, this kind of low resistance liquidity sitting right there as well. So what do I want to see? I want to see potentially the market, you know, continue to maybe even retest this gap one last time. If it looks like it's done it a couple times already. So I wouldn't be surprised if we don't come back down here, but there's a couple levels of sell side that I will be looking at. This level right here, which is the high end of that fair value gap. So best case scenario, I would love to see something like this happen, where we come back down, retest, and then keep running higher. And I'll be looking at, well, the daily is there. So I'll be looking really at a couple levels. The first level is here. The second level is this level here. And then the third level, obviously, is that high. So I want to see if the market come back down, retest this, maybe pick up some additional sell side, and then start really moving to the buy side up here. So I'm going to mark these levels out, and I'm going to call this my target 1 for this week. I don't think we'll hit all of these in a week, but you know, over the next few weeks, I would definitely want to see the market trade back up here to 830. It's only 100 points out, so we could have a really expansive week. I mean, after trading in this for the last couple months, I mean, we could have a very expansive week. So I'm going to be watching out for all of that. So that's the first level. The second level will be here. Oops, target 2. And the overall high, which is going to be my target 3. So this is, again, this is what I'm going to be watching for the next, you know, week or couple weeks, right? Again, it could take a couple weeks to hit all this. It could be over the next, you know, week or a few days, right? We did trade a lot in this range, so I know the market was consolidating. So, you know, when we do get consolidation and manipulation, we do want to see a rapid expansion. So I would not be surprised if we run up here and take these highs, you know, definitely before the end of September. I don't like to put time frames on it, but I just, you know, I think based on everything we're seeing here, we could see definitely a rapid expansion. So that's what I'm going to be watching for. Shoot, I might even buy a third challenge just to get ready for that, because I think there's going to be some really good setups in there. So, let's see. So yeah, so that's euro. Let's look at GBP. Let me go back to the questions and see if there's anything here. No. Let's go to GBP USD, because I want to keep this up for my students. But if you guys are watching this and you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat as we go along. Don't be shy. I tell everybody every week that if I had access to somebody who had 10 years of experience day trading, then I would not run out of questions for that person. So I would definitely keep I would definitely keep peppering them with questions, especially if they're coming on every week just to talk about stuff like this. So GBP USD is it's not as clear as euro is, but it's moving in the same direction. I think euro is overall the better setup. But as you can see here, we are getting higher highs, right? We did invert our own fair value gap. We came back down, retested it as well. I'll get that out of the way. We built overall relative equal highs between this level. I actually think this is a really good target as well. It's just not as clear as euro, but if you look here, you can see that the market inverted the fair value gap here. And we can definitely see ourselves trading to this high, which is about 40 points out. So I will be watching that. I think my overall target that I'm looking for is for us to come back up into this range here. It's just pretty wide open. Really 2 levels here on the daily. So This overall high is sitting at 1.3596. This one it's at 1.36749, and then this one right here, kind of like my target one, target two, target three. So I'm gonna lay these out. And so I'm pretty much going to be bullish, and I want to see how the price reacts as we hit each of these levels. Do we sweep and then reverse, right? And that might change things. But overall, I'm looking for that to be hit. So ideally, again, we have some relative equal highs here. That's pretty clean. So I'm going to be looking for the market to really come and take these levels over the next few days to weeks. Really interested in this one just because it's a very wide open fair value gap. This is about 300 pips of range, so this could take a little bit longer to get through. So we jump down to the 4-hour. It's kind of consolidating. So ideally, if I wanted to see the market, best case scenario would be something like this. I don't know if we'll get that deep, but just one more sweep to kind of, potentially sell people in the wrong direction and then keep going higher, pick up some liquidity and go the other way. So that's kind of what I would be seeing if I was looking at GBP USD. Again, levels at 1.359, 1.367, and then 1.378 are the targets that I'm looking to attack. So let me jump to NASDAQ. NASDAQ took all-time highs yesterday. I did not notice that. So new all-time high at 24,000. I'm probably not going to be trading NASDAQ this week because we took all-time highs. And I've said this multiple times as this happens last year. As we take multiple all-time highs, the market is really, we're running into a level of buy side. We don't really know if this market wants to sweep and then keep going lower, or if it wants to keep busting through. Obviously, it's going to keep going higher over time because that's the point of NASDAQ, but we can't really know for certain, right, what it wants to do in the short term. So ideally, if I had to like gun to my head trade, right, like take a trade next week, I would want to see something like this where we trade back down in this volume imbalance. And then attack that high. But that's pretty much it. And that's not a lot of range, right? And obviously your stop loss, well, you get this on a smaller time frame, but so maybe there's a trade in here for 100 points, maybe. But I honestly, because we did take this all-time high, I'm not really interested in taking that right now. So same thing with same thing with the ES. Just not too interested in this. Like that. But again, we're so close to the all-time high that it's not really worth it for me. This is interesting. There's not really a gap or anything that I want to trade into. So I would say something like this. Trading back into this order block here and then attacking the all-time high. Like, it's a little bit more room on YM. Again, this is US30 if you're looking at that. But trading back into this range here and then taking that. So this actually was a really good setup the other day because it was just these relative equal highs sitting there. So if you would have taken that trade on Thursday, that would have been awesome. But I traded back down to 45,700 and then 46,180 is kind of like the high. So it's like there's, 500 points on YM that you could take maybe. So that's what I would be watching if I was trading. Trey asked, how long have you been day trading? It's Troy, not Trey. Sorry, man. Troy, I've been trading since 2015, man. So I've seen a lot. of ups and downs in the markets. The first week I traded, I tell this story all the time, but the first week I started day trading, I um I studied for a month. I found a course, studied for a month. Thought I knew everything, thought I was ready to go, thought there was nothing else you could tell me. I thought I had the secret sauce. I took a $300 account because I was in college at the time. So $300 was a lot of money to me back then. So I took $300, I put it in a trading account. And then by that Friday, I turned that $300. That Thursday, I turned $300 into $1,000. Um, and I thought I knew everything. I went to bed on an overnight trade. I thought I saw a setup, and I put like 5 lots, 3 lots, or something like that on Euro USD with $900 in my account, or 900, $1,000 in my account. And I thought, the setup is there. I'm gonna go to bed in London and wake up in New York, and I'm gonna be up something crazy. And I woke up and I literally had $150 in my account, and I was so confused. I was like, "What happened?" I looked at the charts, and there was this huge wick that came and took me out. And I tell people that story just to like let everybody know that like this journey takes time, right? And from there was a lot of ups, a lot of downs, a lot of strategy testing, a lot of strategy hopping, which I probably didn't need to do. But I mean, you had mentors, you had people that I learned from. There's a few good people that I learned from over the past 10 years. But really learning that uh, you having your own strategy, you being able to execute that strategy, you employing proper risk management, all the stuff that people tell you that like is the stuff that like sounds really cliche, is really the stuff that wins. I've seen people have totally opposite strategies, and they both win, and they both have great risk management, and they both end up seeing their accounts grow over time. I've seen people with great strategies but terrible risk, and they still can't get it right to this day. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at this question now. What have you learned over the years has been a repeating pattern? Um, I think the biggest thing is that the markets do the same things over and over again, right? Just because you get the direction right does not necessarily mean you're going to get the trade right, right? And so again, that risk management piece is key, right? So it might take you one, two, or try like a lot of these setups that I even call here, right? Um, I might not catch the initial trade. Like the initial trade might be wrong. My initial like bias, I'm sorry, my initial trade on this bias where I think is going to happen for the week might be wrong, right? I might get one, two, three tries, even maybe even more, right? In the initial direction, and might be off, right? Um, but if I'm managing my risk right, and I can catch something that obviously lines up with the overall bias, then I'm good. And so with that comes managing your risk, right? And I think a lot of times people see these big days that traders have. It could be like $1,000, $10,000, $100,000. Like the internet is full of people making a lot of money. Some of it's real, some of it's not. Um, but and some of it's gambled, right? Like they couldn't do it again if they wanted to. Um, And so I think the biggest thing is that like for me is knowing that the setup that you want is going to repeat itself. It might take you a little bit more to get there. It might not be your initial trade that gets the win there, or maybe you're wrong altogether. But you got to manage your risk. You got to know that the impulse to make your money now is not it's that's just in your head, right? Because you're always every time I take a trade, even to this day, right, I still have these trades where I'm like, dang, I need to double down, I need to double down. But I know that like the game is won over time. It's not necessarily won in a moment, right? And so um if you can grow an account, over years, um, weeks, months, years, then that's way more impressive, and it's way easier to grow than it is to try and make all your money in two trades. And so I think constantly fighting that little impulse in your head that says I got to make my money now, or this is the setup isn't going to be there again. It is the stuff that I teach, and the stuff that works in the markets. It doesn't matter what strategy you have really, but like specifically the stuff that I have, I've been able to go back in the charts from 2015, the same principles that I'm calling out now, and going back into those charts and seeing the same things happen, right? And being able to call the markets out back then. I go back in like with the trade simulators in 2015, 2013, 2008, 2010, like before in the 90s. It's the same stuff over and over and over again. And so the pattern that you think is never going to be there again, or you might miss it and you might not ever um, have that opportunity to take that trade again, it's going to be there again. It's probably going to be there again, literally probably even next week, right? At the worst. So don't get in your head about that. And then I actually stopped growing or started growing more when something I noticed about myself is that I started growing more when I stopped watching people online. Like there's certain people that I watched, but like a lot of stuff is just trying to you end up comparing yourself to people, and then you end up trying to rush the process. So um, I used to watch every QBanks lifestyle video, Lambo Raul's. I'm trying to think about who else is in this space. Um, and these are guys that kind of started trading around the same time I did. Your FX Alex G's, like all these guys that like are gurus, quote unquote. Uh, I watched all their videos, and I think for me it was even worse because I started trading around the same time as them, and so it took a long time for me to get consistent. Um, and so I used to watch them, but I feel like I didn't start making my strides until I stopped trying to do what they were doing and just kind of ran my own path. Um, so I would say that's kind of like the biggest thing too. Yeah. So someone says, Troy says again, thanks for asking my questions. Besides day trading, do you have any other long-term investments? Yeah, I'm actually invested. Like, so I have a normal 9 to 5. And so like, I think this is one of the things that kind of helped me a lot too, is that trading, no matter how good you are, you're going to make your trading money in bulks. It spurts. Like I was just watching JCap FX, who's a really good trader. I think he actually holds the record for the biggest prop firm payout currently. Um, he talks about this in one of his videos that I was just watching, and he mentioned that um, like he makes his money in chunks, right? And so it's never this consistent like, oh, I'm gonna make $1,000 every day or every week, right? Or I'm gonna make 10 grand every month, right? And maybe if you have a big enough account, you can consistently get to a number where the trade is always gonna be a certain amount when you do make it, but you never really know how much money you're gonna make each trade or each month, right? And so that lie about uh like, oh, I'm gonna pull 10 grand every month, or I'm gonna pull 5 grand, or a consistent even number every month, especially with a smaller size account, it's not feasible, right? So you're gonna make most of your money in chunks. It could be a 3 month stretch where you just go crazy. Then you might be cold for the next 6 months, or then you might be cold for another month and a half, right? Or it just might be not as big as what you're seeing. And so for me, uh honestly, keeping a job or having other sources of income helps me the most, because now I don't have to worry about, am I going to eat this month, right? Because if I'm worried about, am I going to eat this month, I'm probably going to do something stupid on the charts. So I have a whole 9 to 5, I have a whole career outside of trading. I don't know how much longer I'm going to do that, but I'm passionate. I work in marketing, so I'm passionate about that space. I love storytelling. I love creating marketing concepts and things like that, and bringing brands to life. So I keep doing that as my day job. But with that comes normal investments. And so I have my normal like 401k, my normal stuff like that. And then also uh, just your regular investments. So I do take a lot of trading profits and reinvest them into either A, other challenges, or B, other projects that I work on for side income, or C, back into the markets in the more traditional sense. So I'm also passively investing in like the NASDAQ and the S&P and stuff like that. So that's your short term, I'm sorry, your long term portfolio that you talked about. But yeah, you got to have all three. Day trading is awesome, but at the end of the day, even if you make $100,000 a trade, you're still kind of trading your time for money a little bit. So you still want to have that passive stuff that helps you, just you bridge the gap, and that's the stuff that grows over time, man. You take $100,000, you throw it in the S&P, you throw it in the NASDAQ, then like, I mean, you don't have to think about that ever again, really. So yes, those are really good questions, man. I appreciate you asking those. Um, I'm gonna look at gold really quickly, and if there's any other charts or pairs that you guys want me to take a look at, I'll take a look at those. But gold is pretty much in the same place as the rest of them. So I talked about this breakout of this wedge pattern, and so I don't really trade, the breaks of wedge patterns, right? I have an overall bias, and so I talked about this for the longest time. I would have a hard time seeing consolidation on the charts. And what I mean by that is like it's easy to see in retrospect, like if you backtrack, that this is consolidation, right? Like it's a wedge pattern. You can see that. Even if I get rid of it, this stuff right here, you could see the chop back and forth in retrospect. But when you're trading this, sometimes it's hard as it's forming, right? It's hard to know that you're sitting in consolidation. And so one thing that really helped me is really understanding wedge patterns, because the market either usually consolidates like this or consolidates like this, right? It either consolidates evenly where it chops back and forth, or it consolidates where the highs are getting lower, kind of like that, or it kind of chops and the market kind of compresses, like over time, just kind of chops and gets like that, or the market does the opposite, where it kind of goes like this, right, where the highs are getting lower, where it consolidates, and next see chop like this, right, or my favorite one is where the highs get lower and the lows get higher, right? It's like that. And the market kind of just chops, and you see the highs getting actively lower and the lows actively getting higher, right? And so these last three are really kind of considered wedge patterns. And so what I did is I started drawing these on the charts when I would take a step back and see if the markets are failing to make new highs. Are we forming a wedge pattern? Are we trapping volume, right? And so in this particular instance, the market was really forming a wedge. We can see these highs right here. And I don't really trade I have my own kind of like trading style that's kind of a merge of it's a kind of a mix of smart money concepts and some other stuff. So I don't actively trade wedges like this. Sometimes they'll teach you like the breakout is what you want to trade and teach. But I do come to the table with my overall bias and what I want to see happen. But at least I'm taking a step back and I'm saying, okay, I see the markets are getting higher. I see, this wedge starting to form. I shouldn't be trying to rush. I shouldn't be trying to like go all in on a trade right now. This should be like a very, laid back, less aggressive trade that I'm taking. Maybe it's half the risk that I usually take or a quarter of the risk I usually take, right? Because I want to see them. I know the market is going to eventually break out of this range, right? And so if I'm trading in this range, it's just not as much as I usually would do. So long story, but gold was essentially in this wedge, right? And it broke out. And so there was actually a really good trade setup here where the market traded back down into this overall imbalance here. Retested that. Yeah, retested that and then kept going higher. So what do I want to see here? This is going to be really similar to NASDAQ and the rest of the indices, where we are so close to the all-time high. And we know that this overall level is going to have a level of buy side sitting over it. So I can only really project to here, right? And so with that being said, I want to see the market. Best case scenario would be something like this. We go back up and test that. I don't want to short this because, I mean, if you're shorting gold right now, you're insane. Just geopolitically with everything that's going on, and all the stuff that's going on, and with the government, the economy, internationally, right? Like there's a lot of there's a lot of stuff going on in the world that is not really lending confidence. And usually gold rises when in times of insecurity. I tell my students this all the time, right? The reason that gold is going crazy right now is because there's a lot of political uncertainty. There's still the tariff issue in the back of people's heads. There's, again, presidentially and economy wise, there's a lot of stuff that's going on. And gold typically moves, again, when people are uncertain about the dollar, or they're uncertain about the economy, they tend to invest in gold. And if you go back to the years where gold has some of its biggest rises, 2024 and 2025, this was an election year. And then, obviously the tariff situation is going on right now. You go back to 2020, we all know what happened in 2020, right? There was this huge short of gold, but then it rose like crazy over 2020, 2021. Go back to 2008, right? Huge financial crisis. Look at the rise in gold, pretty much almost doubled in a year, right? It did drop when the economy got a little more stable, right? But 2008 to 2012 was our recession, and that was when gold pretty much tripled in value. So now gold is just acting a fool right now, to be honest. Um, let me see. Trust I'm not disturbing your planning. No, you're good, man. I love these questions, man. This is awesome. So you're good. Just a nice thing. I appreciate that, man. I like to think in my head I'm just as good. I think a lot of times you gotta judge traders by their capital, right? And not necessarily, I'm sorry, you gotta judge traders by their percentage gains and not by their capital, right? Because if a trader has $1,000, but he can make 30% a year, right? That's technically better than a trader that has, $1 million, but he's only making, 100,000 a year, right? And so you shouldn't really judge traders by the amount of money they're making. You should judge them by the percentage that they're making and pulling out. Now, if everything is the same, then obviously the money, right? But what are your thoughts on Berkshire Hathaway doubling its cash holding? So I think you're talking about Warren Buffett basically getting cash free. I would say like anytime, it's actually more of a general investing question, but like anytime you see like big people go cash heavy, it just means that they don't know what's up. They're not too sure, right? And so and they're getting ready, right? And so it's kind of like when you think about consolidation in the market, um, you don't really know if the market's going to go up or down. You have an idea of what you like to see, but you don't really know for certain. So like if the market's consolidating, right? Let me get rid of this. The market's consolidating, right? I'm not going to be, go back to Euro. If the market is consolidating, like it was consolidating in this gap for the last month, I don't really like, I had an idea and my bias changed a couple of times while this was going on. So like if you go back and watch, like at first I really thought initially my idea was that we're going to come back here and drop, and then we started to invert. I was like, nah, this is probably going to run right through this. So when you're looking at consolidation, you really truly don't know what is going to happen. You know what you'd like to see. And so it's kind of like that with Warren Buffett, right? Like if the markets are showing you something that you're not 100% sure, and I think it's okay if you don't know what's going on. I argue like the majority of the time, I don't know what's going on in the market. I just know how the market reacts in certain situations. And that's okay. Like you're not gonna hear a lot of people admit that, but they're probably lying about their trading anyway. But um if you don't know what's going on, you got to take a step back, right? And the best thing to do is to get cash heavy, right? You cut ties, you cut your positions, and then sit back and wait on the next thing. So similarly, I think what Warren Buffett and Berkshire is planning is they don't really know where the market's going to go. And I mean, we're kind of overdue for like a major recession anyway. So like, who knows? And the tariff situation is not really helping a lot in terms of like finances and stuff like that. I had a chance to talk to an economist. I was on Monday. I had a chance to sit in on this like lunch where it was like a top 100 economist, and she was talking about like the tariff situation. She was talking about all this stuff, and obviously like keeping things like politically, neutral. Um, she did mention that the tariff situation is going to put a lot of strain on a lot of people over the next year or two, and that means times could get worse. I mean, she actually thought times were going to get worse before they got better, because we don't really know the extent of everything just yet. So that could be bad in the short term for stocks, right? Because you think about how many global companies and investments are being made globally, they're going to get tariffed. And so it could be a stressful situation for people. So I can imagine why that's probably why Warren Buffett is, thinking that he's probably cash heavy right now, because you do want to be ready to take advantage of something as it happens, right? So, and if we do go through a recession, I mean, investing in the S&P, investing in these companies as they're hitting their lows is going to be awesome, right? Obviously not awesome for the general American, the general work, but awesome investing opportunities, I guess. So yeah, so that's pretty much all I got for you guys. I'm gonna do my plug for Talented 10th. Again, this is my trading community. If you check out the website that I just locked in or dropped in the chat earlier, you can do really one of two options. You can join the free Discord just to be a part of it, or you can upgrade to the mentorship. The mentorship is there's a monthly fee where basically you're in my community and I outline everything that you get access to. You also get access to a WHOP page. Is WHOP. I never really knew how to pronounce that. I still don't know how to pronounce it. But you get a WHOP page or WHOP course where it's like 30 of my videos, basically where I teach you guys how to trade my style and kind of see the markets the way I do it. And the one thing that I tell my students all the time is that I don't want you guys to, it's not a signal service. I don't want you guys to like be looking at me like with your hand out, for trades, because the goal with this is really to teach you how to trade, kind of like a teach a man how to fish thing, because I'm not going to be doing this forever, right? And I think it's really cool when I'm in the Discord and I see people post their results and they see they're getting setups on their own, they see the markets, the way that I do, or they're looking at the same stuff that I would. And so, in addition to the course, which again is 30 videos, I also do a weekly call with them on Sundays where we kind of talk over scenarios and they come to me with anything that they're struggling with. I talk about my trade setups more in depth and kind of like, again, my thought process, so I can, show you exactly what I was thinking in these trades in the moment. But then also there is a Discord as well, because, everybody has a Discord. So in the Discord, I'm like actively laying these trades out and kind of like giving you my thought process on the market. So updated analysis. The free chat is here where I kind of generally post stuff, right? But then also the lab is where all the mentorship work takes place. And so you can see, if I were to go here, this is where I talked about, last week I was up about 6,000 on the accounts, 6,800 in the accounts. Now I'm up 8,500 on that initial FTMO challenge. But this is where I outline everything, right? So I talked about NZD. Oh, and I will talk about NZD before we get off the call too. That was the other one. But basically the swing trade that I'm in right now, I outlined it there. The Euro trade that I took here, I outlined it all. And I'm basically explaining my thought process, like what are we looking at for the day? What should we be expecting over the next few weeks? This was the Euro trade that came this week. But all that stuff is outlined, right? So you can see all that stuff just with more detail, because again, my goal with trading is really to get people there. I want to teach people how to do this on their own, right? And I want to teach people how to be responsible for their own trading decisions. And you can't do that if you're just waiting for a signal service for someone to come in. And plus, I'm not licensed to give signals or investment advice. It's not what I'm trying to do here. And so I'm really just showing people what I'm looking at in the markets. And I'm not even really giving you entries on exits on the trades. But over time, you start to see like exactly what it is, and the thought process there, which hopefully makes you a better trader. I think it really makes me happy when students come to me and say, hey, I saw the same thing that you saw, and that's why I took it. And so that's the point. So yeah, it's talented10trading.com. Again, I'll post the link here. And then follow me on all social medias. I have, if you're not subscribed to me at Brinks Trades, you can find me on all social media, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok. Usually active. Again, I'm most active in the Discord, but if you check me out on pretty much every social media, I'm almost at 300 300 subscribers on YouTube. It's a big deal for me. I know, on YouTube, that's not a lot at all, but, getting 300 people to listen to me on a week in and week out basis is kind of cool. So, hopefully, it grows from there. So that's all I got for you guys. I'm going to look at NZD really quickly, and then we're going to hop off. And so I wanted to talk about that because, I'm in a swing trade on NZD. So that was the other pair that I was looking at. So the second trading account challenge that I'm taking is the one that I talked about where I'm up on NZD. And so the reason that I decided to take this, oops, do this. Yep, there we go. The reason that I decided to take this trade on NZD is because I saw something that obviously lined up with the rest of the analysis. Since it's not a pair that I usually trade, it's pretty slow, which is why I'm swinging this, but it's a good for swing trading. And so coming into the week, obviously NZD lines up with Euro in the analysis, right? If dollar is going lower, then NZD should be going higher. It just doesn't move as quickly and as much. And so ideally, we saw this scenario here that we should be bullish on NZD. And coming into the week last week, I saw this trend line liquidity forming. So I figured the market was going to come up and attack this at some point, right? We have an overall dollar that we want to see go lower. So I saw this and I said, if we get a break in market structure over this daily level, then we should be wanting to take this trade back up to this high. I don't know how long it's going to take. It could be weeks, could be months, days, right? This is June, but ideally that's what I want to see happen. And so when the market did break structure here, right, it did fully break structure, traded back into this fair value gap. There was a lower time frame setup that I used to hop into a trade, and so I've been in this trade pretty much for the last couple days since Wednesday, and I'm going to be here until I either A, pass the challenge, or B, B just hits to a level that I want to see. So ideally, long-term target is I want to see the market trade back up to 0.6118. This is, if you want to learn how to swing trade, NZD, USD, AUD, USD are very slow-moving pairs. And so they are good ones to, if you see a higher time frame setup that you can learn to take. This is really good. This is probably like when it comes to day trading, like your first Forex or currency pair that you should look at because it just moves very slow. So this is what I'm going to be looking at over the next week or 2 weeks, or however long it takes. But ideally, I want to see something like this. Something like that. So it's like a 1 to 5. And then I think my exit will probably be somewhere above this high because that will be what a past challenge is for me. So I think I'm in a 10 lot trade that will go to this level here. So that's what I'm excited about. So hopefully that pans out over the next few weeks and we'll see. So Appa says, do you trade gold? I do trade gold. If you go back and watch this one, I do a gold analysis, so you can see that. Yes, I'm trying, Tony. I'm trying to master my fear of swing trading. If everybody knows me as a mentor, I've talked about this multiple times. Again, I think if you're a trading mentor, you should always kind of be transparent about your skill level and then also your fears, or I guess quote unquote as a trader. But I've never really been a long-term swing trader. And so for me to hold a trade for a day, 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, that's something that I mentally just don't do because I just check my phone way too often as it is. So for me, I want to get better at swing trading, especially in currencies, just because, again, these have really clear trends over days and weeks and months. So if you catch a daily, weekly trend, you can really hold that thing for months. Obviously, not including the swap fees and stuff like that. So that's what I've been wanting to work on to get better. And so this is going to provide me an opportunity. If it doesn't pan out, then cool. I can always go back and, look for my position setups again. But really being able to kind of trade off this 4-hour daily time frame is something that I'm really interested in. So That's going to be something I'm going to be monitoring over the next month. So hopefully, it works out. So yeah, so I think this is a really good setup. That's exactly what I was thinking too. NZD USD is a monster setup. So I'm excited about this one. Um, Again, right now I'm focusing on passing challenges, so I'm not actively trading my own money. Again, getting access to a lot of capital is better in the long term. So I'm okay with not making any physical money right now until I get funded again with the CFD stuff. Again, I'm still funded with the futures trades. I just can't swing trade them. So how much am I funded with? So with Apex, I'm funded 20 50K accounts. That took me some time to pass. Top Step, I have 5 50K accounts, 4 50K accounts. I'm not fully funded with them. And then uh, I'm working on 200,000. I'm working on getting fully funded with FTMO. So I'm working on 100K challenges. My goal with FTMO is to get fully funded by the end of the year. So I'm gonna be pushing that. My issue is that I got some bad ADHD, so I can't really actively manage a bunch of accounts at once. And I know there's copy traders for the future stuff, but it's hard for me to manage the future stuff and then turn around and manage the forex stuff at the same time, and then my own personal account too, which is in the future side. So there's a lot of accounts. If I found a way to trade futures and forex all together at one, that'd be awesome. But I don't think anything like that exists right now. But so I can only really focus mentally on one thing at a time. I can either trade the future stuff or trade the forex stuff. I do like the forex. I personally am a little biased for forex because I traded forex for years, right? And um, so ideally, what I want to do is get funded, about 800K. I think there's a path for me to get funded 800K to 1 million in forex firms, between this firm, Blue Guardian, E8. And so that's kind of my goal right now, is to get back in the CFD side of things and then just, work that out and then grow from there. But over the next year or two, I really want to build up somewhere between the $2 and $3 million in funded capital on the CFD side. It's going to allow me to do a lot more. It's going to allow me to swing trade. It's going to allow me to take, bigger positions than I would, on the future side of things. So every firm is good. Every firm pays. So it's, every major firm pays. It doesn't really matter if it's futures or forex. It's just what you like best, or what, are you good with. The future stuff is cheaper, right? It's easier to pass a challenge in futures. It's a little bit harder to get paid out. So you just keep all that in mind. But either way, that's going to be my goal. I'm excited about FTMO. Again, I've said this a bunch of times. I promise I'm not getting funded with them. But I'm excited for FTMO just because they also have a couple of other charts. There are a couple of other things too. They have access to, they just bought Oanda, so they're legit, right? They're going to continue to pay you out. They made $80 million last year. So again, it's a reputable, safe firm. And then they own a hedge fund. And I think that's going to be where a lot of these prop firms start to move, is that they're going to start forming hedge funds that you can actively trade and invest with them. So I'm excited about that, because there is a path. And my goal, my journey has always been, I've always wanted to trade for a big bank or hedge fund, right? That's been my biggest thing, because you can make so much money, right, trading with them. So way more than you could if you ever try to flip your own cash or do your own thing. So for me, I want to get to a hedge fund. I want to get to a bank. And so I think that FTMO having their own hedge fund that they just bought, and then actively moving the best traders that they have in their program to that space, is awesome. So it's really why I'm doing this, more so than anything else. And I don't really care about selling courses or doing any stuff like that. I want to get back and help people. But I actively want to be a great trader. If anybody's watching Billions, the whole Axel situation, like the Axe caps stuff, that's what I would love to do. So yeah, so that's my journey. So hopefully you guys, got some value out of this. I'll stay on for any other questions that you have. But if you do me a favor, if you don't do anything else, subscribe to my YouTube channel. I'm trying to get my numbers up, and then follow me on social media. But like in that order, YouTube first. Go to YouTube, Brinks Trades, hit that subscribe button, and stay locked in with me. And then get in that free Discord at least minimum. I'd love for you if you guys became students, because that way you're actually learning and I can give you all the tea. But if you just want to be part of that Discord and see what's going on, jump in there too. I'm not gonna be mad. So yeah, that's all I got for you guys. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm gonna stay on for a couple of minutes. I'm gonna turn my camera off, but I'm still gonna be on for a couple of seconds. So if you have any other questions, drop them in the chat. Peace. All right, so someone said look at oil. I'll look at oil really quickly. I've never traded oil in my life. So I'll look at oil real quickly. But I can't really promise that. So I mean, oil is on a monthly downtrend. So we just had a daily breaking structure here, right? So ideally what I want to see is something like that, where we start to attack this level of sell side right there. There is a pretty big volume imbalance right there that I would note, but ideally I would be working towards a bearish setup. Either we come back up and retest this, or I'll be looking for the midpoint of that wick. Take things lower. I would want price. Ideally, I'd want price to stay below this level. It's like my 2-minute gun to head analysis of oil. I've never traded oil in my life. First primary level I'll be looking at though is this level here. So if I had 2 targets, this will be my first target, and this will be my second target down here. It's a best case scenario of what I want to see happen. But we're definitely in a downtrend on the higher time frame, so I would ideally want to see that, you know, that happen. So we can come back next week and look at it. But again, I've never traded oil in my life. I don't really trade any of the like oil or gas, or, you know, I don't look at any of that stuff. So we'll see. So it looks like that's the only question that we had though. So we'll come back next week and see if that played out. But hopefully it gives you a little advice there. But again, it's not trading advice. This is just educational purposes only. So hopefully you guys have a good rest of the day. And again, subscribe. I could use the followers. So peace.
Hey folks, what a view behind me. I'm at Blackbull Markets headquarters here in Auckland, New Zealand. Speaking of views, you can get TradingView paid plans for free at Blackbull Markets, saving you up to $600 a year. That's right, get either the Essential, Plus or Premium plans absolutely free, and all you need to do is trade from 1 lot a month at Blackbull Markets. And you can also get a 100% deposit bonus for your first deposit up to $1,000. All you need to do is click the Trading Nut link in the description below. Hey, if you like futures because of the tight spreads and clear setups, go check out Blue Guardian Futures. They let you start trading futures with up to $450k in funding. The best part, you keep 100% of your first 15k in profits, then 90% after that. No activation fees, weekly payouts, and they're sponsoring Chris Eubank Jr. and Birmingham City FC. Go take a look at blueguardianfutures.com or click the link in the description.